How is everybody doing out at Indiecade? Wonderful to be here. It's the Indiecade Festival 2023. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Beyond Screens. My name is Alistair Aitchison and I shall be your host this evening. So this Friday and Saturday mark the return of Indiecade's Night Games event. If you go down to Jerry Moss Plaza at the Music Center in downtown LA, you will be welcomed by a cavalcade of exciting multiplayer and alternative controller games. Tickets are free and information on how to RSVP is on the Indiecade website. In celebration of this, we have some very special shows for you. Today and on Thursday, we're going to be interviewing some of the developers who are showing their games live at the event itself. So coming up, we have the team from Clever Endeavor, the creators of Ultimate Chicken Horse, a very successful local multiplayer game that involves you building platform challenges to defeat your friends and possibly yourself. We'll also have Jason Morningstar, the creator of Desperation, this year's tabletop winner. And right now, we are very lucky to be joined by the team behind Get Off My Lawn. Get Off My Lawn is an alternative controller game played using a modified rocking chair, and it's a nominee for this year's Live Action Award. So, let's welcome them to the stream now. I can see they are waiting in the wings, so I'm just going to switch us over, and we will be able to see the whole team there. Hello, Get Off My Lawn team. How are you doing?
Hi there, doing great.
So, I mean, first off, I noticed I put the names in the wrong locations here, so maybe you go off one by one. Just tell us, who are you and what do you do?
All right, I'll go ahead first. I'm Saurabh Sood. I'm a master's student at the University of Utah studying engineering, arts, and entertainment. I was the hardware engineer and partial game designer for Get Off My Lawn.
I was Christopher Jones. I'm also in the Masters of Entertainment Arts and Engineering program. I was the game designer and also partial gameplay programmer for the project.
Hi, I'm Landon Beatty, and I'm also in the MAE with all these guys. I mostly did 3D art and texturing for Get Off My Lawn.
Hi, I'm Avni Shelke. I'm also an MEAE, and I'm one of the 3D and moment artists on the team.
Hi, I'm William Rockwell, same program as all these guys. I'm an engineer and I prioritize mostly AI for this game.
Fantastic. So, I guess the first question is, tell us about Get Off My Lawn. What is it? How do you play?
Yeah, so Get Off My Lawn is a first-person arcade-style, almost defense game where your goal is to keep your behind parked in your rocking chair, keep it rocking to stay awake, and use your trusty garden hose to spray pesky kids off your lawn who are just out to destroy your pristine, beautiful lawn, throwing their toys on it, jumping on your grass, and you have to physically knock them away with your garden hose.
And am I right in thinking that this is played with a real live rocking chair?
That is right. We rigged up a rocking chair with some sensors to detect rocking, to detect if you're drinking a drink, and attached a hose that acts as you physically aim it to spray.
That's amazing. I mean, so how did this idea arise? How did you come up with it?
So I feel like this tends to be the case for a lot of games. At first it very much started as just a joke of like, oh man, that'd be real funny. Because it originally started as a school assignment for making some sort of alternate controller for a game. And so just brainstorming like, so what's like a controller you haven't seen? What's something that you can look at and intuitively know like, oh, I know what to do with that controller, Someone sees a rocking chair and a garden hose. Almost everyone knows, okay, well, I'm probably going to rock in that chair and I'm probably going to use that garden hose for shooting at something. And so just making like a very quick, almost like the controller itself is half the tutorial of how to play the game. And just funny humor was like a huge guiding principle of the game. Keeping in line with that, it started as a joke, and just anytime something made us laugh, we tended to just keep that in the game.
So what kind of things are there in there that would, that will make you laugh?
So our best feature came out as a bug during development. So when you spray the kids, they get yeeted into the sky. And it's one of the most satisfying gameplay moments. And it was a bug initially where we were like testing out the spray, and it would just get the dummy kids at the time would just get pushed off the map. And so we kept that in. And so that's one of the most fun things. And then another one is the power-ups that you get. There's one that converts your garden hose into essentially a laser beam, and that's super fun to use. And another one that if you drink it, you just scream, "Get off my lawn," and all the kids go flying.
So, okay, so what, as I understand it, so you've got the rocking chair, which you rock back and forth. You've got the hose, which you hold in your hand, and I presume there's like a trigger on there that you're detecting. And
Yep.
then there's the cup. So I can understand what the hose does. What do the cup and the rocking do?
Yeah, so the rocking you have to do to stay awake. You know, you're playing as an old man, as they tend to fall asleep if they don't keep themselves moving. And then the cup is how you activate your power-ups. Drones fly over your lawn, you shoot them down, and they drop a little power-up in the form of a drink, whether that's like the laser that was mentioned. It's a little like kind of laser gun orange beam, so you've got like an orange soda, and just like you actually lift your drink and you have to wait for the bar to go up and fully drink your drink to activate the power up.
That's brilliant. I mean, it's a really nice idea, and I kind of, it is. I love the wackiness of it. I like the silliness of it. I like that little kind of. I mean, malicious is the wrong word, but I'm trying to find. There is a word on the tip of my tongue here. A kind of. It's it's like a kind of trickstery kind of. Wow, I can't think why I feel like I've been using this word a lot this week because I went to a clown course in the weekend. So, but there is something kind of clownish in that kind of, that interaction where you're kind of playing at being mean, but it's a kind of benign kind of meanness, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. That's that was actually a pretty big, like, not point of contention, but back and forth we had a lot with this game was whether or not we wanted to make a game that implemented a real like gun rather than a garden hose, like in the universe. Is that like, oh, are you defending from zombies? The very first iteration of the game had a real shotgun where you'd fire warning shots into the air instead of trying to chase kids away. And so just like finding that perfect balance of like being like just the right amount of like charming and cheeky, but like not okay. No, these are kids, right? Like finding that balance was
shotguns and
important.
kids don't go well together.
No.
And so I can see we've got you've got 5 of us on camera here. Is that the entire team? Was there a bigger group of you, or is it just you 5?
There were 5 more of us that unfortunately many have fallen sick and couldn't make it.
All right. Oh, sorry to hear it.
Yeah, it's flu season, I guess.
Yes.
So over here we have 2 artists and 1 engineer.
Right.
So they can give some insight behind how the visual style and the AI for the kids.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, shall we start with the visual style then? Like, how did that develop?
So for the game, we knew that the idea was very simple and very silly, and that's why we wanted to add so many colors to it, because that's just how the game was. And since there were like so many kids, and even though it's a little mean, we just wanted it to be very colorful and silly at the same time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
We're going for a very fun experience. Very like
Yes.
fun, like good vibes kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess is a kind of sort of family friendly approach as well. Is it, you want, I mean, do you have a particular audience in mind? Are you expecting children to play this or adults to play this, or is it families? Like, where do you
That's a
expect
good
this to be played?
We've had kids and adults play it, and they all seem to love it. There's a certain satisfaction with like spraying a kid and seeing it flying.
Yes.
I don't think I can narrow down a demographic.
Yeah, because that's when designing the game, we very much like drew inspiration from arcade games that are like the very quick, 60 to 120 second gameplay loops that just like if it catches someone attention, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll give that a go. And so and obviously like it's a lot sillier. Serious gamers or gritty gamers, people who are looking for a lot of story, people who are looking for like really high skill ceiling competitive games, not for them. But for just like, yeah, silly, like if you're the type of person who's like, oh, I like playing, skee ball when I go to the arcade, that kind of casual gamer.
Yes. And I guess is the arcade where you would want to see this game? I mean, is it do you have visions of where you would like it to be in the world?
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, getting this into an arcade, getting like the hardware pipeline consistent enough to actually produce these and get them into arcades would be a really exciting thing. I think worth noting, tooting Sood's horn a little bit here. This was his first time ever working with hardware like this,
Right.
and built the whole controller from scratch.
Wow.
Just learning from online tutorials. We didn't even have like an in-class professor who knew the hardware. He just completely taught himself how to do it in 3 months and got the
Wow.
working version of the game.
So not exactly my first time with hardware. First time building an all controller for sure, but I have tinkered with 3D printing and like Arduinos and things like that in the past. But like not at this scale, not even close.
And
Yeah.
am I right in thinking we have the hardware here to look at? Or have I
Not right
misunderstood?
now. So in
that's-
preparation for the Indicate festival, we've kind of disassembled it a
That's-
lot. And I've essentially rebuilt the entire controller for Indicate because the actual one was kind of janky.
Right.
So I've rebuilt the controller to make it a lot more cleaner, easier to use. Fixed a few bugs with it, but it's not in a state to showcase right now.
I see.
It's being prepped for Indicate.
Yes. And I guess are you in Utah right now?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you're going to be coming over to LA for night games to show it off.
Right, we'll be flying out tomorrow morning.
Oh, fantastic. That's that's exciting. And is this I guess if you is this your first time showing anything at a public event, or just first time showing an alternative controller at a public event?
I've been in like similar, not gaming related, but like showing products for companies I've worked with in the past in events. But like this is like the first time it's something I've made. We've made as a team together, showing it, not someone else's work. So and this is the first time I'm doing it for the game.
Yeah.
Which I'm like super excited about.
Yeah. Is it scary at all, or are you kind of
You have no idea.
And so we had also on the team, there was AI programming and the engineering. So yeah, I'd be interested to find out. Let's start with the AI. What what goes into the AI in this game? What's tell us the story behind that.
Yeah, the kids basically follow a very simple cycle. They will run into the lawn, they'll chase after like a toy that got thrown onto the old man's lawn. They'll grab the toy, and then they'll just innocently frolic around the yard, destroying all the grass, destroying this old man's very nice yard. And then if they're not sprayed off in time, they'll have their fill and they'll just run away. But if you spray them enough, then they'll get, as Sood said, yeeted off into the sky. And I also handled a lot of power-ups, which you can get by spraying it down these little drones that will fly overhead at regular intervals, and they'll drop that drink that you can like activate with that cup. Yeah.
And did those kind of AI patterns, did they change over the course of development? Like,
yeah, we did have to do a lot of refining, but I think the core of it remained very similar.
Right. And then on the kind of engineering side of things, was it sort of challenging to work with the alternative controller? Did you say it was Arduino you were using?
So we use a Teensy board, which is
yes,
a different kind of board, but
Yes.
there's a way to use like Arduino code in that.
Okay.
And I use that because it has a lot more input output pins and just more reliable.
Yeah.
So I worked on building the controller and also like the interface of it communicating with Unreal Engine.
Okay.
So there was a plugin that handled some of the serial communication, and then I built the functions to like build the protocol to transfer data across and then read it on Unreal Engine. And then that got passed over to like the gameplay side of things.
I see. And so on the gameplay side of things, and I'm really sorry, I've forgotten your name on the left of the couch. Well, my left, stage left, which is, I think, possibly your right.
William?
William, sorry, was it you who worked on the engineering code or something?
Yeah.
Yes. So was that yeah, I'm just curious, like, was, you know, I guess was Sarah was sort of creating inputs for you to work with, and then you had to interpret them in, you know, inside the game side of things. Is that how it worked, or was there a different kind of process for how that all came together?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Sarab had to get the translation of like the hardware data into the game. I wasn't the one who actually did most of that. That was our other engineer, Shubham. He handled the hose controls. It was Sood who did most of the actual hardware conversion stuff.
Right. And the way we went about is like they built it for PC first, so controlling with mouse and keyboard. And so they built the gameplay functionality, and while I was working on the controller, and I think it was what 2-3 months in before we got like a proper connection from the physical controller to the game, and I just hooked in the inputs to trigger the same functions that the keyboard and mouse would do.
I see. That makes sense. That's a very clever way of doing it as well. Like, kind of, you separate the problem into two separate problems, which makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah, there was a lot of iteration and prototyping going on, and just figuring, okay, how is things going to work together? How do these connect together? And I don't think things clicked till the last month of development.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that's sort of, I guess, the process of going from concept to finished thing. I guess was there a scary moment where you were wondering, is this going to be fun? Or did you kind of always have faith in it? You're like, you know, it's going to work out. It just has to all come together.
I would say it was really scary for a lot of it, because the big advantage to making it a PC game first and then just like using the other inputs is we never, while developing, we had so few opportunities to actually play the game with the controller, which when you're just sort of like mouse and keyboard, it's a lot easier. You have way more control. And so there's always just this kind of big like, oh, well, it'll probably be fun once it's with the controller, because there's a certain amount of like assuming and like role playing in your chair, pretending like you're playing the game, trying to figure out like, yeah, I could see this being fun. So it was... It very much like all the pieces came together in the last month, in the last few weeks, which finally we had like a working play test, and I was like, okay, no, it worked. This was fun. Like,
yes, that's good to hear. And did the way people responded in these play tests, like, did that surprise you? Did anyone use the rocking chair in a way that you weren't expecting them to?
Everyone rocked straight up, so that was very intuitive. There were issues where like how hard they rocked was a problem. We needed you to rock really hard, like relaxing intensifies kind of thing.
Right.
So that was one of the things we've noticed and something we're looking into fixing. Another thing was like the aiming was like really hard to make. It's kind of like a light gun from an arcade, or like a Wiimote.
Yes.
But it's very it was quite finicky, and it took a long time to get that fine tuned.
One of the most tragic cuts that still might be a sore subject for some people on the team. The game used to have a dog in it that would fetch toys for you, and we were gonna have like a 3D printed or like foam dog head on the side that you would like pat to go send it to get toys or whatever. But like as we were playtesting it, just like that with the drink and the rocking, it was just too much, and players weren't like, they were like, okay, well, like why do I have the dog? Like, why does that matter?
Yes.
For a while there was a remote on there where you would press a button to send your dog, and people they liked the dog, but they didn't like the mechanics. So sadly, even though we have like dogs in our promotional stuff and like in 3D models of dogs in the game, there's no longer a dog, which was a sad cut to make. But based on that playtesting feedback, we couldn't find a way to make it work.
Yeah. And I guess that's the way with game design, isn't it? You've got to kill your kill your darlings, even if sometimes that darling is a dog.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah. So, like, this is am I right in you said this was a university project?
Yes.
Mhm.
So what's could you tell me about the university course? Like what's how does that all work out?
Right. So this is the Entertainment Arts and Engineering program. There is an undergrad and a grad program, and we're in the grad program. So it's essentially 2 years. The first semester is you build a lot of rapid prototypes. So we had 4 different prototypes we built as part of a program.
Right.
Along with some other electives, we had a game design course as well. And I joined in the engineering track, so I started doing engineering. So the program has 4 tracks: engineering, production, art, and tech art. And so you can choose whichever you want as you apply to the college, and each has their own specific courses plus some common courses. And the major one is the projects course. So in the first semester, the projects was 4 rapid prototypes. So 2 to 4 weeks, build a game and understand the process end to end. You are thrown into teams with a mix of engineers, artists, producers, and you work on the game. The second semester was our alt controller, which is where everyone has to build an alt controller. So we built the rocking chair. There was another one that was this giant board with full of buttons, and you control street lights, and your goal is to help robbers escape the cops. And there was one where you use pumps to control like a Flappy Bird kind of thing, but like balloon that's controlled by balloons, and use the pump to go up or down.
Oh, Yeah.
So like we got a bunch of really cool projects out of that. And then now we're in the 3rd semester, and so the 3rd and 4th semester is our capstone project where we work on one game for the whole year.
Right.
We did have like a few rounds of a game jam initially, and then a prototyping phase, and now we're in full-fledged development of the whole game. And
I see.
so by I think April next year is when we have to wrap up the game and publish it on Steam.
Right. And the game being, is that a different game to get off my
Yes,
lawn?
it's-
Yes.
It's a different game, it's not an alt controller, it's just straight up a PC game.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Would you make
Um,
another alternative controller game given a chance?
I think we're all kind of I would love to get into hardware again, but I think overall we're kind of done with like the physical aspect of building a game. It's everyone who joins this program kind of wants to just build PC and console games in the future. So I think that's the whole focus. It's definitely an option if any team wanted to build an on-controller, but no one has.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's-
I guess I would chime in there and say like the team has been really excited about Get Off My Lawn, and we've been, because we're planning on taking it out to GDC's alt controller competition
Awesome.
come next year. And so and like we had kind of dreamy-eyed mentioned before, getting this thing into an arcade. So I think
Yeah.
if we were ever to keep dipping our toes in the world of alt controller, so to speak, it'd probably be continuing on with this game and improving it and
That makes
just
a lot
having
of
fun
sense.
with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And do you think, even if you're not going to, necessarily stick with alternative controllers in your careers going forwards from here, do you think there's lessons that you've learned from the process that you are going to take forwards with you?
Absolutely. The design process is it's always a struggle because it's a roller coaster. You have your ups, you have your downs. The downs can get really low. There's so much uncertainty as you move forward. It's just learning how to go through that fog, completely blind but staying steadfast. And then I really enjoy tinkering with hardware and 3D printing. It's not my main thing. I'm a software engineer by trade, but like it's so fun. I love it as a hobby. So I
Yeah.
got to really flex those muscles here.
That makes a lot of sense. So I guess just want to find out a little bit. We've got a little bit more time before the next guest come on, because you were lucky enough to come on a little bit early. You were very nice. I asked, could you come on a little bit early, and you said yes. So we do have a little bit more time to talk if you want to. But I guess my question is, so the whole team, are you all on the same 2-year course together? Are you on different things? So are you all going to be working together on future projects, or do you have other individual projects in the pipeline?
Yeah, so we're about half of us on the call now are working on that same year-long project of myself, Avni, and William are all working on a project, and then I think
I'm on a different team, and Landon's on a different team. So these are different teams from our all controller for sure.
I see.
These were the all controller is like based on like, so the process was we pitch the idea as students, and then other students would vote on which they want to work on, and so that's how the Get Off My Lawn team came about. And in this one, it's more like also kind of like based on the idea, but also just form your own teams who you want to work with, kind of thing. And so we kind of ended up with different teams based on our goal of what we want to work on.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
So can you tell me a bit about these next games, what we can expect to see
Ooh.
from you next, or is it all hush-hush at the moment?
No, I think we definitely talk about it. Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah. So the game, myself, Avni, and Will are working on. The working title is a Parkourer. It's a parkour horror game where the premise is you are trying to escape what is essentially a predatory city that is trying to stop you from escaping. You've got things like walls crumbling around you, quick time events, stealth to avoid, like, eyeballs shooting out of the walls, like looking around trying to find you. So kind of taking that like Mirror's Edge but horror and seeing what kind of game that looks like.
Mhm.
Nice. Sounds very exciting.
Yeah. My game is so the entire game is made out of cardboard. Like in the game, the art style is everything's made out of cardboard. So everything looks like it's cardboard cut out and houses built out of cardboard. And so you're this like this kid who got transported into his own cardboard world and is roaming around it. And so we're kind of working on the story, but you end up in this town that's run by a mayor. And the mayor, I might be giving spoilers, but the mayor's secretly just he's evil. He has a lot of minions, but you don't know that yet.
Right.
And his goal is to like find this mystical power at the top of a mountain and harness it to destroy the world and rebuild it in his own image.
Okay.
And the goal is like that plan fails for him, but he unleashes this power, which is like a real world cardboard baler, the ones that compress cardboard
Oh,
together into
right.
bales, and then you have to fight that as the boss fight. So we're going with like a mix of puzzle and action, where the action is you literally attack enemies by slapping them because you're a
Right.
cardboard piece.
Yes.
And that's kind of fun. We're adding in some puzzles and mechanics over there as well.
I
And
really like the sound of that, playing with the sort of the imagery of cardboard and what cardboard can do, and that sounds a very kind of playful idea.
yeah, the whole idea is to have it as like everything's made out of cardboard, and how would that look? Like a diorama, right? And you're just this cardboard cutout waddling around the city, and it's alive with other NPCs also made out of cardboard cutouts waddling around. So we're building on unique characters and stories for them, but we're also keeping it really simple and playful. Yeah.
Fantastic. And how about the rest of the team?
I'm working on a game called No Strings Attached. It's a 2D/3D platformer where you play as a puppet who is trying to escape the clutches of his puppet master and
Oh,
get out of the circus. And we're going for a kind of like semi Tim Burton-esque horror vibe with lots of different platforming like opportunities, like swinging, and you can control different poses to hide from the puppet master.
wow.
It's got stealth, it's got platforming, and it's got a good vibe. I like it.
Yeah, and this, I mean, I like the sound. I like the sound of puppets. That's an interesting theme, and I guess just like the cardboard gives you a lot of interesting kind of concepts to play with. I'm sure the puppetry and being controlled by the strings and that kind of, controlling and being controlled. I guess that must be a nice conceptual toy for you to play with.
It's definitely fun, especially with like because you can do individual poses. You can move each hand individually, and do kind of stuff like that to like grab onto things and pull them, or pretend you are a stagnant puppet while the puppet master's looking for you in his
Right.
workshop.
Oh, nice. And how about the rest of the team?
We're on the same team as
You're in the same team. Ah, yes. Brilliant. So, I mean, it sounds like you've got big, exciting things coming up, and obviously, I guess you are nominees at Indiecade, which I guess must be a nice big coup. Must be a nice feeling. How did it feel when you found out?
Oh boy. I think we were all kind of shocked. We're like a student project, and then we're put up against these big hitter studios. Like with full-fledged games published on Steam. We were like in awe after the nomination. Like we took a while to believe it.
Oh, yeah, it was a crazy time when we got that email saying that we had been accepted. Yeah, it was kind of just like both awe and just like we were so excited. There was some like, oh my gosh, like did that really happen? Like a little disbelief to it. Cause yeah, it was this big festival and it was wow, this was our small class project where we're going up against like the big dogs, so to speak. So it was a really exciting moment.
Brilliant. Well, you deserve to be very proud of yourselves. It looks absolutely fantastic. It looks wild and wacky and all kinds of chaotic fun. And I unfortunately I'm all the way in the UK, so I'm not going to be able to make it to Night Games. Although
Oh,
I
no.
will be videoing in to do a performance there. So maybe if I will have a camera there, so I'll have to get the volunteers to take the camera around to maybe they can be my kind of surrogate and and play it for me while I, they can be my eyes. But I mean, what should people expect to see at Night Games? Like when people get there, they're looking for Get Off My Lawn. What should they be looking for?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we will actually have some of that like fake AstroTurf green with just like a nice big rocking chair on it in front of a TV screen. So it should be pretty thematic and fun. And you'll just see a rocking chair with a garden hose and a drink, and hopefully you'll know what to do with that. And yeah, that's almost all of our team will be there too. 7 of the 10 will be coming out, so we'll be flying out. We'll be there to explain it, to try to like maybe get some people to come play. So it should be pretty fun. And yeah, just if you had like those trailers playing in the background, you'll be able to get kind of an idea of what that gameplay is going to look like. Like again, very arcade like. You'll come in, you'll sit down, and you'll have hopefully a very fun 2 minutes of gameplay.
Fantastic. And before we head off, is there anything you'd like to shout out or anywhere we can go to find out more about your work and your projects?
Do you want to do like just our individual shout outs then?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so you can check out my work. I have a portfolio on xsoodx.github.io. That's xsoodx.github.io. That's where you can see a lot of my past works and some of my professional work.
Yeah. As far as shout outs go, I think this would be a good time to mention the other 5 people that weren't able to make it here today. Really talented group. You've probably heard a couple of the names mentioned. MJ, our producer, helped keep us on track, helped with some of the design. We had Shubham, the other engineer on the team that Willie mentioned. He was very good about getting the hardware integrated. Denise, who helped us with our UI, she did the great audio for the game. She composed some music for it, which has like a fun progression to it. Jesse, one of our other artists who did a lot of the concept, the 2D art, and then Sandy, who did all of the technical art, like visual effects. She helped with like the water stuff, with the shaders that you see in the game. So really just an amazing team. I know it's cliche to say, but like everyone on the team contributed so much to it. And like what makes the game fun and special, I think, was a lot of everyone being able to contribute like their own flavor to it, their own thoughts. And while it was a very stressful time, hopefully still a very fun time where people could all come together and make a fun game.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, and yes, like you say, it was a team of 10 of you, wasn't it?
Yes,
So,
yeah.
And that's, I think teamwork is such an important thing. And, I think all 10 of you can be really, really proud of what you've achieved. How about from the couch? Any shout outs from yourselves?
Guess I'll send it right back at you, Chris. Shout out to you for coming up with such a cool idea and allowing us to create your vision.
I would say shout out to the team as well. we've been so hard at work, and I'm glad to see how it's gonna turn out at the night games. I hope people come and just have fun, I guess.
Same. I just wanted to shout out the others for just having just not being afraid to submit this to Indiecade and do all the stuff that's been done in the past few months to get it up to speed for the showcase.
And
Fantastic.
on top of that, I want to add just a shout out to the University of Utah for giving us the opportunity to build this Hull controller, and a shout out to Indicate for giving us the opportunity to showcase it.
Oh, absolutely. This has been an amazing experience, and I think we're all very, very grateful to get to be a part of this.
Well, I think the whole team are absolutely delighted to have you here and really excited to see the game at Night Games. So, congratulations once again on being nominated. And yeah, we can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it live. And, audience, if you are watching this, you know where to go. The Music Center in downtown LA this Friday, 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Friday and Saturday is where you can go to play Get Off My Lawn and many other games. Thank you so much, team, for coming and joining me, and good luck with the rest of your projects. And
Thank you so much.
you're most welcome. We will be back very shortly. We're going to have Ultimate Chicken Horse coming up next. And we are looking forward to seeing more of you soon. So stay on this channel, stick around, and we shall be back shortly. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to the Beyond Screen show. We are speaking to our wonderful guest who will be showing games at Night Games here in Los Angeles, the Music Center this Friday and Saturday. And I am very lucky enough to be joined by Tia and Rich from Clever Endeavor Games, who are the creators of Ultimate Chicken Horse. So I'm just going to bring them on screen now. Let's find, where did I put them? There they are. And here we go. Hello Tia, hello Richard, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hello. Doing great. How
Super
are you?
great.
Fantastic, I'm doing well as well. It's lovely to have you here, and you're going to be, so the game you are bringing to Night Games is Ultimate Chicken Horse. Can you tell us a bit about this game?
Rich, you want to
Absolutely.
take the lead?
All right, I'll take the lead. So Ultimate Chicken Horse is a party platformer where you try and screw your friends over by building the level and making it just hard enough that they can't reach the end, but easy enough that you can. So it's sort of a mess with your friends, but not too much platformer party game. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I understand this has a bit of a history with Indiecade because I remember seeing it at Indiecade East in 2016 at the Museum of the Moving Image. Is that right?
Yeah, we've been trying to be in as many places as possible for as long as possible. And the game launched in 2016, so this adds up that we were in, yeah, basically everywhere, as many places as we could be. But it's great to see it in that kind of event as well.
So, so I'm showing the trailer right now.
Oh,
I
I see
just
it.
embarrassed myself because I'm showing the trailer and I can't look at my notes without showing the trailer. So let's go on to just Night Games. What can people expect to see from the game at Night Games? How are you going to be running it?
Sure. So I'll be there. Ultimate Chicken Horse is going to have like 2 TV screens and 2 setups. So at least 8 people can play. So 4 on each TV. It takes up to 4 players. We plan to run like a bit of a competitive tournament. You can play casual games with your friends or people you bring, or with anyone that's at the event itself. It's going to be cozy. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of like screaming and chaos and drama because that's how Ultimate Chicken Horse is all about. Like, we really want people to feel like crushing defeat and like exciting victories and then like want rematches immediately. So this is like Ultimate Chicken Horse thrives so much when people are together in one place, like on the same couch, being like, no, like I can't believe it. Like just like it is so exciting to have everyone all together in the same spot. Because I don't think
Yeah.
we've done it in a while.
And we've even seen like at events, and I hope we'll see this at Night Games as well. You see strangers come by, or pairs of people who know each other, and by the end of it, they're laughing and like walking away with each other, continuing to talk. So like if that's not the sign of what we're looking for in a social or party game, like I don't know what is. So that's always a really cool, exciting thing to see, and I'm sure we'll see that as well at Night Games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you started making the game, was that kind of shared couch experience, was that a big part of what you were looking to create?
So that's hard to answer. I think right as soon as we made the game, which started as a game jam, we showed it off at events. So very quickly it was a audience game as well, like
Mhm.
whether we intended it or not. So that definitely shaped it more towards that kind of party experience and like fun to watch. Sorry, fun to watch, fun to play with random strangers, etc. So yeah, I would say yes. It's definitely been shaped heavily by these kinds of events and showcasing the game since its inception, really.
So what, I mean, has a lot of it kind of changed as a result of seeing it in exhibitions and things? Like, was there, in the early days of it, were there things in the game that you changed because having watched people at exhibitions, it played out differently to how you expected, or?
For sure. Like almost exclusively, like almost all of the changes that ever happened in the game came from this kind of watching people and either direct feedback or just watching people and being like, okay, people are obviously stuck here. One big one I can point to is the scoring system, for example. We had a different scoring system, and we brought it to a show, PAX, I think, and people kept getting ties every time.
Hmm.
We were like, oh, we never thought that would happen because it never happened when we tested it. And then every single time it happened with random strangers for some reason.
Right.
We're like, okay, this is a problem. And so we changed the entire scoring system based on that. There are plenty more examples like that. But yeah, it was extremely informed by its design was extremely informed by audience, and primarily at the time, especially 2015-16, that was going to live in-person shows.
Yeah.
So
And I guess it's interesting that you mentioned the sort of the Thai games is an interesting thing because there's a kind of showmanship element to it, I guess, that baked into the design of the game. It doesn't just need to be fun to play moment to moment, but it needs to tell an interesting story that people can get behind and root for. And I guess a tied game is a disappointing ending.
that's it. It's less interesting, and it's like you said, it's less of a story, right? Being like, oh, that last turn, I just like put this thing down and then just made it to the end right before the time, like, and then I won. That's the story you tell your friends. All of that excitement as soon as you say like, oh yeah, and then we tied. Everybody
Yes.
wins. You're like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm all for participation and stuff, but yeah, folks want to brag to their friends, and yeah, that was something that just obviously needed to change. We would never have known that had we not shown it off at shows and seen people in person. And those people didn't complain about it. They weren't like, oh, that sucks, I tied the other person. But like, you just see it and feel it, and that is very hard to replace in a digital context.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And it is funny, like, so one of the things that I do in my own work is I, host interactive stage shows. And one of the things that happened with the design of the games is changing things like the score system to ensure there would always be a dramatic ending, to ensure, even if you had to fudge it and cheat sometimes, even if you had to make it, like, I know there's one of the games I have where there is a time limit, where once it gets to 30 seconds remaining, the timer just stops. It stops going down. And so it stays at 30 seconds remaining forever, just so you can have the sense that, oh no, there's only 30 seconds remaining. And the reality is, nobody's looking that closely. Like, if people look closely, they'll notice that their time's staying still. But if they're having fun, they won't look. They won't notice. They'll just notice, oh my god, only 30 seconds.
It was only 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are definitely, I mean, there are things that not sure how many we do in the game itself, but there are definitely like behind the scenes timers that we use to try to like direct the gameplay a little bit. And I think maybe not all games, but a lot of games do this kind of thing. And that's all, that all comes from feedback and watching people and being like, okay, it's getting too slow. We need something. What's going to speed this up? Or it's going too fast. We need something. What's going to slow this down, etc.
I mean, on the subject of watching people, I feel like it's been a very popular game with streamers. And I've definitely seen people like Game Grumps playing it, and there's been a lot of streamers and YouTubers have taken it on, got a lot of good material out of it. Is watching those, has that informed the way you designed it, or is that just a kind of pleasant byproduct?
Yeah, I think it's both, in the same way that watching folks play your game in person can give you a sense of what's working and what's not. Like, we had YouTubers who played a Kickstarter demo. So we did a Kickstarter almost a year before the game was launched, and we saw YouTubers playing that Kickstarter demo, and we're like, oh, there's a bug. Or even past that, other than the obvious bugs, there were also just things where YouTubers were like, because they're always talking, which is the whole point of the thing, especially if they're playing solo, like, they're saying all the things they like and don't like, right? So they're saying like, I really wish I could like do this thing. And the next turn, it's like, oh, I really wish I could. And the next YouTuber says the same thing. You're like, oh, people are actually wanting this, whether they're saying it or not in playtests. But like, the YouTuber is saying it because anything that comes to their brain, they're going to say.
Just a stream
which
of
is the entertainment.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Not
but
holding
it's
back.
actually, and it's actually good. It's important feedback because they don't know the developers watching, which is already the other piece, right?
Yeah, we're always in the comments and like watching.
Yeah, and if they knew that you were watching live, they're gonna act differently, just like playtests in general, right? So so having them not know that you're watching is a nice, like, you get all the
Yeah.
feedback, no filter,
And so, going to the sort of, the very early versions, you said that the game developed out of a game jam game. What did that game jam look like? What does the sort of the very pared down version of Ultimate Chicken Horse play like?
Yeah, so it looks almost similar, maybe not quite similar anymore, but it looked fairly similar. You had the mechanic of placing things in the level, going over to the next, like going over, trying to reach the end, doing it again. The biggest difference was, for us at least, was in the initial game jam, you took turns placing things. And so you would place something, and then the other person would place something, and then you would both run through the level. And it was a little bit more like the game Horse. I don't know if you know the game Horse, like in basketball, or like the game Skate for skateboarding. That was actually the kind of the core concept. Was you place the thing, you're like, look, I'm gonna do it. I bet you can't do it. So then you place the thing, you do it, and then if the person didn't get to the end, they actually get a letter. And it was, our scoring system used to be like HORSE was 5 points, and if you got the whole word horse, then you lost. We ended up changing that a few times, but yeah, I think that was the main difference. The controls were like pretty terrible in the from the game jam, of
Right.
course, and those got continuously better until release and after release, and even the last couple of years we've made updates to the control system, so that's a kind of never ending journey, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating to see something that has, because it has continually, been updated over many years now. And I mean, am I right in thinking you put your most recent update out at the beginning of this year? Is that correct?
Yeah, we released the Celebration update, which added Turtle and Armadillo.
So
And that was actually the 7th anniversary of Ultimate Chicken Horse. So
wow.
it's an old game, yeah.
Yeah. But it's an old game that you've been actively, maintaining and engaging with the community, around it, which, I guess is no mean feat to stick with it for 7 years, keeping on, keeping engaged and, thinking what new things can people enjoy in this. Like, what is it? I mean, Tia, you are the community manager on the team, is that correct?
Yeah, that's me.
So what has, working with the community, what's that involved for you?
Honestly, it's so much fun. Like, the community is one of the best parts of the game, if not the best part, because everything about Ultimate Chicken Horse is sharing the experience with a friend. It's a co-op game. It's a party game, so you're competing against each other. And without other people, without a community and other players, it's not as much fun. Like, you need more people. The game is best with 4. And it just feels so special to bring people together with this game and see them having fun, seeing the chaos. Like, I've played with like tons of people, like at events on Discord, just random strangers, like, and every time it's so much fun. It's a different experience. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. Like, the players are what keeps the game healthy and happy, and like they bring so much to it, where they just have a lot of joy and wholesomeness. And the game is about like having fun with other people, whether it's like online multiplayer, couch co-op. Like, it's really special. So I always am like, I want to bring more people to the game and have them experience it. Like, it's one of the greatest things to show people Ultimate Chicken Horse, and they're like, oh, what's this? I've never heard of this. And you sit them down, they pick up the controller. Anyone can play this game. It's super simple, easy to, what's the saying?
Easy to learn, hard to
easier.
master.
Yeah,
hard. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Ultimate Chicken Horse is the epitome of that, where like, kids can play it, grandma can play it, like your hardcore like game buddies, like everyone enjoys it. But there's so much more too. Like, we have a large player base of people, of family that just like to play the game with their friends, or they're more casual, or just pick it up at a party. But then there's like a competitive, like pro group of players on our Discord who are like so into the game and so good at it. So it's a great special experience for everyone.
So
Yeah,
what? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say one of my favorite things is telling another game developer about the game, and they're like, "Oh yeah, my kids love that game." And they're like they haven't played it, but their kids like it. Like that's awesome. That's nice. Also,
Yeah,
like you should try the game dev, but also, yeah,
that...
glad that your kids.
Yeah, I'll be honest, that sounds like the dream. Like, I remember back in the day when I started out in my career, I was making iPhone and iPad games, and hear about people seeing someone playing their game on the bus. Like, you sit next to someone playing your game. Never had that experience myself. I'm so jealous. It must be a really nice feeling to have to hear that.
Yeah, it's fun to kind of show up to and be like, oh, what's this game? Haha, I never played this. But meanwhile, me and my several hundred hours in the game.
Yes.
I feel like I don't want to derail our interview, but I also feel like we have to talk about Tia going to a video game bar. There's a video game bar in our city, and coming up, and Ultimate Chicken Horse is on, and then Tia's like, "What's this game?" and then goes and
Absolutely crushes. Yeah.
yeah. Just thought
Is
I'd
there
have to
money on the
highlight
table?
that.
Playing it.
Like, have you considered, playing for bets?
We would think about it. Maybe I can host like a tournament and I'll just be like,
Yeah.
I would like to participate.
Yeah, here's the money pool, and then like.
I mean, that's why we got into this video games thing in the first place, isn't it?
Yes, to win tournaments. Yes, yes.
So, I mean, speaking of why we got into this into the first place, I mean, creating a couch co-op game, creating fun experiences around around a sofa, around the shared experience and all that. What do you think makes a great couch play experience? Like, what is there a magic ingredient that makes a local multiplayer game really pop?
I'm not sure there's a magic ingredient because there are a lot of different kinds of local multiplayer experiences that I think each have their own kind of things that are interesting about them, things that make them work well together. For example, like a game like Jackbox is different from a game like Towerfall or Ultimate Chicken Horse or Pummel Party. In that the Jackbox is less technically demanding. Not everybody has to be holding a controller in their hand, etc. But it wins in its accessibility or approachability from anyone, 18 people in the room or whatever, 12 people in the room. Whereas something like Towerfall or Pummel Party wins in its more competitive, physical, like I just missed this by 2 inches kind of vibe. But to me, the thing that I think we are going for in our next game as well is the interaction between the people on the couch. So the interaction in the game is only a means for the interaction between the people, and it is not the primary focus. So that's really something that I it's hard to know exactly how to do that. I think with Ultimate Chicken Horse we landed on that well, and that wasn't because we had designed it exactly that way. That was a bit of luck and a bit of tweaking it to make sure that we were always promoting that. Once we found it in the core, we were like, oh, okay, this is the thing we have to stick with, and we built around that. But I think it is really that interaction about what's the story you tell your friend, and the end result of your play session is that you and this person you're playing with will be closer in some way. Even though we say it destroys friendships and all that, but like it stresses them, but in a way that it stresses them and
Fun competitive way,
exactly.
Like,
Like rebuilds them stronger. But yeah, so for me, I think that there would be 2 things. Pardon my mini design tangent, but one thing would be that interaction outside of the screen, essentially. And the other thing, which I still haven't figured out yet, and I would love to, is the idea of like, what are the kind of psychological things that you can play on in social interaction in an interesting way through an interactive medium. So a game like Among Us uses something like Werewolf is a classic game around a table where folks like have to close their eyes and point at people and so on. But you're using this like deception and kind of that thing. But Among Us managed to take that and put it into a virtual space, broke down a bunch of barriers of you don't have to be in the room together, etc. And that's to me that's a really interesting like play on people's psychology that makes for a really fun experience. And anyway, this is a bit of like my design dreams, but it's kind of like, what is the next thing like that
Yeah.
that is a fun way of changing what it means to interact with someone socially through an interactive medium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's fascinating to hear about, and it is exactly why we get you on to the show, because we want to hear about these inner designer thoughts. So do not feel embarrassed to keep on talking away.
Yeah, we love it, Rich.
But you talked about, there's the local experience. I guess there's also the online experience as well, because there's an online multiplayer play in Ultimate Chicken Horse as well. Did you have kind of difficult design considerations that you had to make to account for the atmosphere is going to be different over a distance?
Yeah, for sure. And Tia, maybe you can speak to this afterwards as well, because there's the whole aspect of, folks talk about their experience online, either through support or in the Discord or in our community. There are a lot of design considerations. Some of them we did better than others. I think, minimizing trolling is something that we try to do. In our game, you can technically keep making the level impossible if you chose to do so. And there isn't as much social pressure as, if you're in person, there's a certain pressure of okay, we're just going to not want to play with you if you're being annoying, right? That is a lot less online, even though it does still exist. But there are certain things like that. I think players don't interact with each other directly. You can go through a player. Part of that is a technical consideration for sure, but also part of that is there's a limit to how much you can prevent me from doing the thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's something we see in a lot of games of folks just trolling, just walking in front of the person and not letting them go by, and you're just so that's a kind of consideration. Yeah, I'm not sure. Tia, I don't know if you have other stuff in mind.
I think you kind of covered what I was going to say. I think it's mostly I guess when any online game, there's connection issues that you always got to worry about. But I think the most thing is if you're playing next to everyone on the couch, that they're going to behave because you're friends and stuff. But with an online game, the whole vibe of Ultimate Chicken Horse is really meant to be a fun competitive thing, but it's wholesome, it's friendly, it's silly, it's it's goofy animals that are falling to their deaths and stuff, so that's just something we want to really try to capture with online gameplay too.
Yeah, and I think you actually you jogged my mind a little bit on that. I think part of it is the game, like Tia said, is competitive but friendly. There's no ranking system that's intentional. There's when a player wins, it kind of zooms in on them a bit and says you're the ultimate whatever the animal is, but it's very minimal. There's no fanfare. There's no, because we kind of want to discourage the reward for winning, which sounds strange, but it's kind of you want to discourage that because the point is the time you played together during the round, and the quicker it is to just get into the next round, the less there is that chance of wanting to do something that is antisocial, call it antisocial, meaning not good for the group, if you're if you're rewarded less, essentially. The other thing is, sorry, did you want to go ahead, Tia?
I was just going to add on to that even though you're competing against other people, you're trying to score for points and be the ultimate animal, there's still a sense of camaraderie where you put down traps, but you still have to go through the same challenges together. You still have to face the exact same problem that you've created. It's not you've just you're just going to ruin it for one person. You still have to do the exact same crazy jump as your friend does. So even though you're competing, it's still sort of you're doing things together.
There's a comeuppance. If you make it too hard, everyone will just be that's not going to work for you either, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I would mention though, which is really important for online games, is just reporting and ability to mute players. So you can mute players because there's text chat in the game. So if someone is text chatting, you can just choose to mute that player. You can report them. You can also vote to kick players out of a game, and that can be abused for sure. But I think for the most part, it's a positive thing where you can say, okay, 3 of us are playing, one person's being really mean. let's vote to kick that person. And the reporting system, we go through every report. So like players get reports and we see that, and we ban players for things, and all of that is very like, we don't just ignore that. We are always actively looking at that. And so that's something that unfortunately you just need to do, because any community will have toxicity in it, and you have to try and remove that toxicity. So yeah.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. We are moving towards the end of the conversation now, unfortunately, but let's move on to night games. The game is going to be there. Are you going to be there in person yourselves in LA?
Yes. I'll be there.
I won't.
Rich
But
is,
you will.
yeah, Rich is there in spirit.
Yes. You can make yourself a little cardboard cutout to
That's
take
a
with
really
you.
brilliant idea, honestly.
And how should people look for 2 screens, chickens and horses? Like, what should people keep an eye out for?
Yeah, there'll be 2 screens. I think we get couches. So like if you see a group of people all sitting together with controllers, like, that's gonna be Ultimate Chicken Horse. Like the game is very bright, very pastels. It's hard to miss. So and I think that you could just probably, games are pretty quick. So just pop by and ask if, hey, can I play? And you can grab a controller and get into the next game because it's quick. Like for a party game, just pick it up and you're in a game.
I think the screens are going to be absolutely massive, so
Oh, yeah,
it
that's
should be
the other
hard to
thing.
miss.
And there's 2 of them, so.
Well, that sounds absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's going to be really a really nice thing, and I'm just imagining, playing this on sofas because it's outside as well. So
It is, yeah.
sitting on outdoor sofas, playing games on big screens, and getting to play a fun game where you get to kind of mess each other up a bit, be a bit cheeky, but also risk messing yourself up. So this sounds like a nice balance of kind of a little bit mean, a little bit friendly. It's cheeky, seems to be exactly the atmosphere you kind of want at on a Saturday night. So I mean, it
Totally.
sounds absolutely like it's going to be an absolutely great show. What should we be keeping an eye out on from you next? Can you tell us a bit more about this next game, or is it all under wraps at the moment?
Mysteries.
Yes.
No, it's not all under wraps. We're working on a new game. It is also a party game. It is in the same universe. That's, I think, all we can probably say for now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's going along well. And we've been playtesting it, and it's still quite early days. So don't expect like an announcement next week or anything. But yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as we have something we can share, don't worry, we will be there with it. But until then.
Excellent. And where should people be following to find these next announcements whenever they may come?
You can follow our Twitter at Clevendev Games. I think the best thing is probably watching the Ultimate Chicken Horse like Steam store page or joining our Discord, which is just discord.gg/UCH. So easy. And that's, yeah.
And the Discord community is wonderful and lovely and all sorts of fun, like as Tio was mentioning. So
that's the best place. Like if you want to make friends, you want to find other people to play Ultimate Chicken Horse. Like if your friends don't want to play with you because you're too good, like I promise you will find very talented players. And people just want to play this game. Like there's always games open. Everyone's always down. Like it's so much fun.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds brilliant. I guess the rest of the team as well, because I realize it's not just the 2 of you. There are other people on the team. Could you just tell us a bit about, who else worked on the team with you who you might also want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, so a bunch of folks worked on it over the years. The original founders of the company, Alex and Kyler, and then a bunch. I mean, I could name everybody, but I guess.
I feel like I put you on the spot there because I was
no, it's all good. currently, the most recent update was more the current team, which is myself and Tia, our artist Fabio, programmer Austin, and our other programmer JS. And yeah, and that's the team plus one other person, whose name is Pack, who also was working with us on like the networking stuff for the next game. And that's the 6 of us formed the current team. But yeah, there are a lot of folks who worked on it. I guess maybe shout out to Vibe Avenue, who did the music. Exceptional soundtrack.
music's
Once in a
so
while I
good.
just go back and like listen to it on Spotify because I don't listen through to it very often.
I re-listened to the
it's-
trailers because the trailers have
so
like
good.
great music.
So that's awesome. And yeah, no, lots of folks who were involved. Like it takes a lot of people to make a video game. There's QA folks, there's localization, programmers, artists, community managers, marketing, et cetera. So yeah, very happy with where it's at now, and happy for all of the folks who've put their effort into it. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that, because it is a good call. It's not just us. It's more than just the 2 of us on that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I guess this will be time for us to move on now. So thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much, Tia. And we'll look forward
you.
to seeing you
Yeah.
at Night Games very soon.
I'm so excited.
Mhm.
And
Have
then,
fun with the rest of the show.
Yeah.
thank you very much. And I believe that is all we have time for this evening. So this has been a really good night. Thank you very much to our guests for coming along. Thank you very much to the Ultimate Chicken Horse team. Thank you very much to the Get Off My Lawn team. And do keep an eye on this channel, because not only will there be more fantastic Indiecade stuff going on for the event, for the Indiecade Festival, which is going on right now. But there will be another Beyond Screen show where we will be interviewing the creators of Killer Queen and winner of this year's big Bernie DeKoven Big Fun Award. And that will be on Thursday night. So thank you very much for joining us. Have yourselves a wonderful evening. And if you are in or near LA, head down to the Music Center, downtown LA. That's this Friday and Saturday. I will be there in my digital person, and you'll be able to control the game where I am part of the controller, if that makes sense. And if you are not in LA, get to LA. It'll be a great place to be. Night Games is fantastic. It is so awesome to see it back. There's always incredible stuff there, and it's a great opportunity to discover the kind of games you wouldn't see anywhere else. So please do head down, check it out, tell your friends all about it, and of course stay here on the Indiecade channel for more fantastic programming. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, have yourselves a wonderful day, have yourselves a wonderful morning, and we shall see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.